God, it's Friday. Welcome to the final one for the week. This is Business Morning on Channels Television. I'm Ini John Mekwa. Well, let's start off with oil prices. It climbed in Asia today, rebounding from previous declines amid supply tightness and geopolitical tensions, even though weakened demand in the United States has cast a shadow on the market this week. Brent crude futures rose by $1.61 to $105.47 a barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures gained $1.43 to $97.78 a barrel. All things are still negative on the economic front. There's still a structural shortfall for prompt oil, and that means that physical buyers will be there to support dips, knowing the uncertainty of what lies ahead on the geopolitical front. All signs of softening U.S. demand weighed on oil prices and sent benchmark contracts sliding around 3% in the previous session. Tight global supplies continue to keep the market buoyed. And here in Nigeria, well, there are about 3 scenarios that may follow the subsidy regime at its proposed expiration, which is by June next year. This was elaborated at the public consultation of the draft 2023-2025 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper. The Minister of Finance emphasized that the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, which had funded the fuel subsidy until last month, will henceforth leave that responsibility to the Federation.
Oil and gas revenue and federally funded upstream projects for the reporting period. The projected fiscal outcomes in the medium term are presented under 2 scenarios, and we need inputs from this consultative forum on these 2 scenarios. So scenario 1 is a business as usual. This is assuming that the subsidy on PMS, which is estimated to be 6.7 trillion full year 2023, will remain and will be provided for. That is scenario 1. That is, we don't remove fuel subsidy at all from January to December next year.
One of the issues coming up from that is in Nigeria, a 4-day withdrawal of service, which started yesterday by the bakers, and is in a move to ensure the survival of the premium bread making industry. The bakers have threatened more if there's no intervention from the government. Talking about new normals in Nigeria with some of the harsh economic realities that the world is facing. It's not just Nigeria, the world, but of course, we do have our peculiarities. Well, we do have the president of the Premium Bread Makers Association of Nigeria, Mr. Emmanuel Onwara, joining us this morning to give us updates on this protest and what they intend to do. Good to have you in the studio, Mr. Onwara. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Nini, and good morning, viewers.
All right, so I think Supreme Bakers and Confectioners Association have pulled out of the strike, right?
Nini, thank you for having me once more. I don't know who that body is. We have, I think, 2 major associations in the bread industry in Nigeria: the Master Bakers Association of Master Bakers and Caterers of Nigeria, and the Premium Bread Makers Association of Nigeria. So I don't know who those supreme guys are, because they've not met with us. What we are doing today is for the survival of the Nigerian bread making industry. We are collaborating with Master Bakers. They started theirs on Wednesday. We started yesterday. We met at ESCO level nationally and agreed that for the sustainability of the industry, for the industry to remain productive, that as an industry we must bring our own challenges to the fore, so that Nigerians, we know, the government will know that this is what we are passing through. So we are collaborating with Association of Master Bakers and Caterers of Nigeria, and then our distributors. They are part of the whole gamut of what we are doing now. So for the Supreme, we have not had them and we don't know them, and they have not featured in anything we've done. When we go to meetings in Abuja, the last time we went to meeting in Abuja with the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, it was Master Bakers and ourselves that were there. So I don't know who they are. We've not met them before at any level. You may confirm this from the master bakers president or their national body. So I don't know where that supreme bakers are coming from.
Okay, so it's premium
bread makers of
bread
Nigeria
makers
and
then
Association of Master Bakers of Nigeria,
and caterers and your
caterers,
distributors.
yes, and our distributors are in this because our industry is facing a dire strait. Our industry is on the brink of extinction. So we want to do everything possible to bring it to the full glare of Nigerians that this is what we are passing through, and then for the government to know. Because there are challenges. The challenges are enormous for us as an industry.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't mean to cut you short, but the reality is that economic parameters are not friendly anywhere, not outside Nigeria, not in Nigeria for the aviation sector, for even the broadcasting sector. Our operational costs have also surged in recent months because of, the war in Ukraine, after effects of COVID-19. So, I mean, I think bread, I'm a lover of bread. Bread, the prices have gone up. The sizes have been reduced, and we pray the quality has not been touched. So this is what a lot of industries are doing. So, and you guys are already doing that. So what do you want?
I don't really think we are doing that yet, because if
bread is more expensive now.
The cost of material has skyrocketed in the last 1 year, or let me say in the last 6 months, by more than 200%. But what is the percentage of increase in bread? It's just a paltry, maybe 10, 11%. So it's not commensurate. And that's why we are saying the industry is at the verge of going extinct. You know why? Your cost must match your revenue. Once your cost does not match your revenue, I mean, you are not in business. At the end of every month, when you are doing your profit and loss analysis, most times you are in the negative, meaning, what does it mean? That means you are bringing money outside to continue to subsidize the business. You understand? So as an industry, we are just bringing it to the full glare of Nigerians. And look, every time you increase bread, you just hear people say, again. They don't know what we are passing through. So as much as we feel for Nigerians, but we are business people, first and foremost, we need to survive to remain in business. We need to price our product appropriately. And I'm telling you, we don't even increase prices. What we do is just adjustments. Because if we increase price, I'm telling you, we'll just be doing 300, 400% increase on the pack size.
Bread I used to buy 500 is about 800 now, or 600 has gone to 700 to 800. That's an increase.
No, for the premium bread maker, there are some bakers, are some bakeries that are not our members. For the premium bread makers industry of Nigeria and for the master bakers, at least we speak for those we know. We have a template that we work with, and anytime we are doing any increase, we have not done anything for the sliced bread. We've not done anything more than 50 naira. Where we are supposed to do 150, we are not doing more than 50 naira. Why? Because we are very conscious of the fact that Nigerians are impoverished. Income has diminished seriously, so you must be mindful of that fact. So what you try to do is you try to see how you can use volume without shaking the quality of what you are doing, because as an association, we are very mindful of what we churn out to Nigerians, because we have in-class way that we use to monitor our members to ensure that we do the right thing, that we operate within the framework of the extant laws and international best practices in Premium Bread Makers Association of Nigeria. So it is very clear, and I know our sisters association has maybe doing that too, but for us, we are very, very mindful of what we churn out to the members of the public. You don't give people what they will ingest that will become hazardous to them.
So basically, of course, materials, your raw materials are now more expensive. So you're talking of flour, you're talking of wheat, I believe.
Not only flour, no, we don't deal with wheat. We deal with the finished product from the millers. What we are asking basically is this: look, somebody must rein in on this whole thing that is going on.
What do you want? That's
what I want to tell you now. First off, look at the prices of wheat. What is driving the price of wheat? In other climes, what is happening now? Since there is a global tension occasioned by what is happening where we get wheat from. Look, there is what we call, you can place a moratorium. The federal government can place a moratorium, you understand, on the 30% that they charge on wheat importation. Or at best, you cut it by half. There's a wheat development levy that we're asking the federal government. This fund, how do I put it? The development levy started being collected in 2012.
Yes.
Yeah, up till date, they are still collecting it. I mean, it was supposed to be a stopgap to help the industry. The money you get from there, you use it for the farmers, get some domicile.
But have you been seeing that impact to start with?
Get it domiciled somewhere so that in case of the rainy days, you can use it to...
So these are the rainy days?
To augment for the... But we are not seeing anything. CBN is giving loans out to small, medium-scale, minor, small, and medium-scale industries. We have not gotten any. So we are asking the federal government, let us as businesses, tap into this. Whatever you are giving, let us get it. Look, NAFDAC is our regulator. We have too many agencies regulating us.
Okay, so no, before you go to NAFDAC, we do have some, we'll get to NAFDAC,
all right, no
don't
problem.
worry about that. So I was going to say, because when this conversation has been going on, there have been issues of why don't we look inwards, maybe look at raw materials from inside Nigeria. I saw a story of some people in Anambra, or is it Abia, using potato, sweet potato, for bread. I know we tried cassava the other time, but I guess our taste buds did not accept it. So what's going on about using, things that can be gotten in Nigeria? At least it took us away the dollar and the FX issues.
No, people are not getting it right. No matter what you do with bread production, you must still need up to 90%. You understand me? Of the wheat flour. You must bulk up to 90% of it, and anyone you want to support with. For the cassava initiative, you cannot do more than 10% of it. For the potato puree, let me give you, a company came, they did an analysis, they invited my association and some other, I think the master bakers to FIRO in Oshodi here. You understand? Federal Institute of Research in Oshodi. I was there. They came to my bakery for what we call test bake. You understand? The puree, we said good, but for your information, the puree is never good for the potato puree. It's not good for sliced bread. They are very good for block bread because, one, it will change the structure of your bread. It will change the entire complexity of your bread. It may reduce some cost for you. True. But by the time we finished it, we ran some trials in my bakery. By the time we finished it, we called the company that came with this novel idea, come and supply us. There was nobody to supply us. My members were saying, President, you have done this and you've told us that it is good. Where are the supplies? And two, when you are doing the puree, you must have somewhere you must store it. So you are going to incur further cost because it doesn't come in powdery form. It comes as a puree, as a paste. So you must now invest in refrigeration because it cannot on its own. You cannot get it dry like a flour. And when you are bulking it, when you are mixing it, you don't do more than 15% of it. So as an industry and as a Nigerian, I'll be very, very happy if we can get some of these our inputs in country, because presently we are doing 90%. But how do we get this thing to be done in such a way that there is availability? Now,
so you're saying that the company that came to introduce the idea could not sustain supply?
They don't even have a value chain. They don't even have people off-takers that can give them the puree.
So they're not working with the farmers?
They are working with the farmers, but they are not growing enough in country. It's the same thing with cassava. You understand me? The cassava is coming today. People are exporting cassava in large quantity in Nigeria today for pharmaceutical use and other domestic use, for gari production, for fufu and all of it. Where do you have the quantity that you have? Bread, look, in Nigeria, we do 4.760 metric tons to 5 million metric tons of wheat import into this country annually. But the country as a whole is not able to produce more than 300,000 metric tons. Are you seeing the disparity between the export and what we produce in country? And 13 states are producing wheat in Nigeria. So they should get support from the government. That is the essence of the wheat development levy. That's been collected for quite about 10 years now. And we are not seeing much happening.
Since 2012.
Since 2012, June 2012. And we've not seen much happening. So it's very key.
So part of your requests for this withdrawal of service is asking that attention should be turned to that wheat development levy and it should be put into use, I guess.
Of course. And then the one that should come to us as bakers should come to us, because you don't domicile the money from there. You are collecting from what we are doing and you domicile it somewhere. Is it the Federal Ministry of Agriculture or so? And that was what they told us in Abuja when we went for the meeting with our sister association. So where is the money? They promised that we were going to get something to be able to help the industry in form of grants and in form of soft loans for us. But we've not seen anything. And where is that money domiciled? And therefore, the farmers too, CBN, to be very honest, the millers, the millers have done their utmost in trying to grow the wheat industry. They are doing a lot in terms of seedling, in terms of extension services, in terms of supporting them. So we want the federal government to take a cue from what the millers are doing and come in to help. Because you, as individual or as a corporate body, you can do so much. But the government has so much latitude. The government has so much leverage to be able to use their own influence and powers to get these things done very, very well.
And you say after these 4 days, if you don't have government intervention, you're going to take switch a notch higher.
Of course, it's not a threat because already we are down. We are not afraid of falling. As businesses, we are almost going extinct. Businesses are closing, as I'm telling you, in droves. You know the attendant problem with unemployment, 33% in the country, 33 to 35%. And every day bakeries are shutting down and closing down. You know, I told the story of my own bakery. I was having 150 workers before now. But today, I've reduced them to 45. Are you seeing that? I placed some of them on student. I paid some off because I can no longer. I was running 2 shifts before now. You understand? Running 2 shifts, 24 hours a day. But I'm doing 12 hours now. You understand? So I had to cut my staff. I had to say, okay, because of the cost of energy, because of diesel, I have about 6 trucks. I packed some of them, and I'm going to sell one. I'm going to sell some of them off. I've sold, I think, the Volvo the other day, so I'm going to sell some of it off. And it's the same thing, tale of woes, for everybody in this industry. We are in a dire strait, and that's why the government must look at what we are demanding and come to sit down with the bakers and see how they can help. Because we have started something with the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, but nobody is talking to us now. Nobody is answering anybody, and it doesn't just sit well.
So what do you intend to do after this 4 days?
After these 4 days, if there is no reprieve, we wait a while. If we don't get anything from them, to be very honest, like I said, we are down and we need fear no fall. We are going to escalate the action. We are going to escalate. If it means getting it done for 1 month, we are ready for that.
Well, how effective would that be, seeing that you do have some groups, you know, that are not parts of you, that you haven't recognized and you have not been able to capture? Won't we still have bread out there and then make your own protests not so loud?
It can be nugatory. Let me tell you this. There are very big bakeries that do 300, 200 bags every day. And most of them are in our fold. Mark you, just watch. The bread will keep drying. By Sunday, if we do past Sunday, going into Monday, there will be no bread anywhere. You know, what you have are remnants of what they have in their stores. The distributors are in this with us. They are no longer. So gradually, by tomorrow, you will see everything will just be drying up in the whole of Nigeria because we are doing this in the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory. So gradually, you see it. That is how it happens. It bites gradually. You know, it begins to bite. Today, you see, by this evening, you will see bread. You will not be seeing bread again. By tomorrow, you will see it. But if we do it for the next 1 week again, you see there will be no bread anywhere. Mark it. Those people that are saying they are supreme, we don't know who they are. Where are the bakeries? Do we begin to name big bakeries in Nigeria? Who are their members? Where are they? How many can they churn out? You understand? Even if they can do anything, the fact that a big bakery is out of a very massive big bakery, the Premium Bread Makers Association and the Master Bakers are out of the market. The few bakeries that will be working, there will be a lot of pressure on them. They can't even cope. They don't even have the capacity to cope. That's the truth.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we do hope that attention will be turned to this wheat development levy. Then on the other side of the conversation is your requests or your voicing out to NAFDAC. Yeah. And you did that when we had a short interview with you a couple of days ago. You talked about the renewal of certificates and all that. But we did speak to NAFDAC. So I would like to ask our producer to please, let's hear what NAFDAC said, and then you can now respond to it since you are here.
Perfect.
System that charges, as soon as you input, as soon as you put all your data in the system, it will check if your license is valid or not. If it's not valid, the system bills you automatically. The charges are categorized. I'm talking about registration fee now. But as per the late renewal fee, is actually 156,000. And that is because the fee is supposed to serve as a deterrent. The last time I checked, it was going to be, installed as part of the monitoring system within advance to send alerts to clients. But as of now, it has not taken off.
So that was Mr. Jim O'Dowda, the Deputy Director, Baked Products Food Safety with NAFDAC.
I know Mr. Jim.
You know him. Okay. And I asked him, because one of the things you said is you've been writing to the DG and all that, and you've not been getting response. But he said that you guys are always meeting. You have some periodic meetings that you hold.
When you say we have periodic meeting, how often does this hold? Does it vitiate the fact that we've written to the NAFDAC on 3 occasions and nobody has replied us? You understand me? You understand? We have written to her 3 times. Took it to our office. They acknowledged receipt of it. Nobody came back to us. Nobody prompts anybody. For instance, if you have a vehicle,
they said there's a prompt, and that's what he said. That from 3 months you're supposed to have started the process.
There's no prompt. There's no prompt. If there's a prompt, look. If there's a prompt, why are we coming here to say this? You don't bandy what's not tenable. You understand? There are no prompts. If you have prompts, maybe 2 weeks before that time, or they will prompt you, and then it awakens you. You go there and do it. They don't send any prompt. If they send any prompt, it is when you send a prompt that people jettison it, that you can hold them responsible for being irresponsible. You understand? They don't send any prompt. Look at it. Are you seeing the disproportionate amount they are charging? For pack size, you are charging 30,000 naira to register a pack size of bread. And for goodness sake and for crying out loud, because the person defaults, you are charging 100,000.
Yes, it's supposed to serve as a deterrent so that you would not wait, to get to be late in your renewal. At least that's what he said.
For small businesses, 30,000 because to serve as a deterrent, you want to kill the businesses. Thought of a business that is doing 11 pack sizes, some are doing 12, and most of these things are following each other, because you do your registration almost at the same time. You understand? And you do this, you are talking about 1-point-something million or 2-point-something million. That's humongous. Agreed. Nobody wants to say people should not do this thing as at when due. But you prompt me first, and then take a second look at that thing. 100-something thousand is too much. I'm telling you the truth. No matter what you want to say, can you say because a fly is here, use a sledgehammer to kill a fly? It doesn't work that way. You understand? There should be human face to everything we do. You don't use this as a means of revenue generation. That's what the industry thinks they are doing. They're using it as a form of...
Yeah, they said they're not using it as a form of revenue generation.
For us, it's not deterrent. You are not deterring us for anything. I just feel they are using... That's what we feel as the industry. And we've complained to them in the meetings we held. Though they've not been in some of the meetings, they've not been invited, but we've written as an association to the DG, Prof. Adeyeye. We've written to her severally. Nobody comes back to you. It's the same thing with us. It's the same thing with our sister association. So they should look at this thing critically. You cannot say because you want to make it serve as a deterrent and then you are charging almost 300% above the 30,000 for pack size. Let's be human about some of these things in this country.
All right. Well, as Channels Television, I guess our job is to bring both parties, and that's what we've done. We've gotten across to NAFDAC, and that has been NAFDAC's response. And, of course, we do have the bakers here. So we do hope that there will be further conversations with both parties so that they'll meet and have a common ground for the good of Nigerians. And, the bakers are asking that attention be given to the wheat development fee, which has been collected since June 2012. And perhaps from there, they could get a little bit of relief, even though, every sector and every industry is feeling the pinch of the economic harshness or hardship at this time. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Mr. Emmanuel Onora, the President, Premium Bread Makers Association of Nigeria. Please take it easy on people like us who love to eat bread.
Thank you for having me always, and thank you to Channels. I just want to say Nigerians should understand that we are not doing this thing to hurt anybody. All we are doing is to be able to want to serve them better, produce good quality bread, and remain in business. We are not Father Christmas. We are not CSO. Our own is to do the business and be profitable. So,
then please try more on the local raw materials. I guess that's also one way that we could bring a little bit of reprieve.
It will help backward integration.
Exactly.
It will do a lot of it. Will do the country a lot of good, really, and to save some very scarce foreign
and help this our
exchange.
FX issue.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for joining us. Well, I will take a break now. When we come back from that break, we'll look at employment and jobs creation in Lagos State. What are they doing? We'll find out. This is Business Morning on Channels Television. You're welcome back. Well, creating an enabling environment for jobs and wealth creation in Nigeria's commercial capital with over 17 million residents comes with a lot of ups and downs. Let's find out how far so far from the Special Advisor to the Chairman, Board of Trustees of the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund. We have Hakeem Onasanya joining us in the studio now. Hi, Hakeem. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Well, we just spoke about bread now, and I mean, even the president of the premium bread makers told us how he has had to lay off some of his staff. So there you go, unemployment increased in Lagos.
That's bad news for us.
Obviously.
Because we understand that the small and medium-scale enterprises are over 97% of businesses in Nigeria, and they are the ones that create the jobs. If they are not supported, they have no other option than to lay off. And that is why we as an agency are interested in supporting these enterprises, because they have more of them and they have the capacity to create the jobs with this unemployment. So when we're hearing that people are going to lay off or they've even laid off, is sad news for us.
Yeah, it is sad news. And then you guys have the responsibility of creating the enabling environment. I think that's one of the most difficult things at this time, because you go from power to security to infrastructure to supply chain disruption. Yeah. I don't know how you handle all of that, especially here in Lagos State.
A lot of the ease of doing business starts from the federal level, and that is where payback comes in. And we know that while it has been quite difficult for small businesses, there are some gains. Nigeria has improved in some of the rankings in about 4 years, gone 39 places up in the World Bank ranking, 11 places up in World Economic Forum
Registration
ranking.
of businesses, I know, has been better.
Has been better, but we still have a long way to go, because according to the Smedon report, out of about 39 million MSMEs in Nigeria, just about 2 million are registered, but 37 million are not registered.
Because it still takes a while. I know someone who's been trying to register his business, and he's gone through the process, and then I think he was told there has to be a final approval and things like that. So you still have some hiccups even in that system.
And that is why when you mention ease of doing business, we have what we call the 4 homegrown indicators. These are indicators that tell us as a country how we're doing. Electricity is one of them. The second one is access to information and also regulatory processes. I know that what government is doing across sectors is trying to ensure that the turnaround time for these processes and approvals is shorter. Because for every day that you don't answer a small business owner, he is losing revenue, he's losing customers. So we're trying to reduce that time. And also trying to ensure that we have enough information for small businesses to be able to use. Government is trying to communicate better, but we still have a long way to go.
So how are you communicating now?
Okay.
Because, I mean, a lot of times when you just come from the government side and you go there and you talk to, especially the SMEs really down there, they'll be like, oh, they've come again. Maybe they want to collect tax. So they have one agency or one agent or the other standing in. So it will be very interesting to know how you have been able to, if you have been able to win the confidence of the private sector, you understand, to be able to pass across that we are actually coming for good. Your good is our good and the good of the nation.
Yes, I think first is we understand that out there it is not easy for these businesses, and we have a duty to protect these businesses. One way in which we've been able to communicate with them is, aside from access to loan facilities that we do, we also do grants. Because a lot of these businesses sometimes even have loans that they are yet to pay. Giving them loans again basically compounds their problem. So we give them grants to at least soothe that position where they are, before then saying, okay, now you're fine, you can access other loan facilities. Lots of communication, we've tried to be empathic towards small businesses using that. For example, I would say that because of COVID, we know what COVID has done to businesses. We've given over 2,000 businesses grants for them to be able to at least continue their business operations and the like. And also in communicating that, we also ensure that we interact with them at various levels, at local government level, at the market. We go down there to say, tell us what the problem is. We can think we know, but you need to tell us. And whatever they tell us, we ensure that we work on it. And an example is they always keep saying access to finance. And we have said we will try our best. Government might not have all the money to give you the big loans that you want, because access to finance for small businesses is different. It's a very risky venture for them. Someone has to take the risk, and the government has to do it, because we also have to make them ready for the commercial institutions. A lot of businesses do not have their records. A lot of them cannot tell you accurately how much they make on a monthly basis.
Yeah, I was going to go to that, because it's not just about giving them money. You need to be able to train them on actually how to keep their books.
Yeah.
You know, how to even measure growth if there is, and be able to manage their finances, so that, I mean, they're not going to get grants forever, and they're not supposed to stay small forever.
Yeah, so and that also goes further. We have 2 types of businesses in Nigeria. We have the lifestyle businesses, and we have the scalable enterprises. A lot of our businesses are lifestyle businesses. They do it because they want to be able to pay their school fees of their children, pay their rent. They are comfortable in that space. but we need them to become scalable enterprises where they can expand, where they can employ more people. And that's why we organize business training for them. How do you keep your books? How do you measure your profitability? How do you also manage your employees? Because this business are going to employ one more person. It goes beyond employing your brother or your cousin. You have to employ somebody. How do you also take care of that? So we also ensure that we do those trainings for those small businesses, because we need to take them from where they are to where we ought them, to be. So access to finance, yes, but we are also ensuring that we train them, which is because we call it business support. And that training is of two sides. Aside training those in those in the businesses, there are also discussions between universities and agencies like Smedan to bring entrepreneurship to the universities and secondary school education. An example, I think the University of Lagos has an entrepreneurship center where students can begin to own their own skills on their business, so that when they come out, they are not coming out too green to be able to start their businesses. And those are ways in which we can de-risk entrepreneurship. Because you don't want to go in there. Entrepreneurship is easy. Whether I like it or not, at the end of the month, you get something, a salary. As a business owner, if you don't make money today, you're not going to pay yourself. So so we're trying to ensure that as much as possible, education goes a long way. And also reducing the barrier to entry for those that are coming in. And how do we do that? Access to affordable finance, which is single-digit interest rates. These businesses cannot afford double-digit interest rates. Not because they don't want, but because how much do they even make? They also have to account for power. They have to account for other infrastructural deficits that the country has. So someone has to take a risk. So single-digit interest rate and also collateral. At least as a government agency, we are removing collateral from our...
But that opens you to bad debts.
But the question is, someone has to take that risk.
Exactly.
Because we need to prepare them for the financial institution. So we've had businesses who start with us, and then they are now able to face the financial institutions because they can now give them a credit history, saying, oh, I've done it before. Because a bank would not give you a very low interest rate if they know it's going to be a risky venture loan into you. But if you tell them that, oh, I've gotten loans from these people, I paid in due time, I have good character, then it helps them to get more. So it's risky, I wouldn't say, but someone has to take that risk. And the private sector would have to load up their interest rate to account for the risk. But we have to do it for them. So we can also ensure that patent flow into the commercial ecosystem.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the students, because honing skills is one thing. And if we want to talk about mopping up unemployment, then we should not just expect that, people will go through the school and then come out to get a job.
Exactly.
And we have to talk about creating jobs. So tell us about how you work with populating the entrepreneurship space with fresh minds, or even some people who are already there, but equipping them with skills that they need, especially today's skills. And not the typewriter skills, equipping them with the skills that they need for today and tomorrow, to occupy that entrepreneurship space.
So for us to get new entrants into the entrepreneurship, especially young people, youths, first we need to break down the barriers to entry. One is what I've said about educating them from the secondary school and the tertiary.
So do you go to universities? Do you take your programs to universities? Do you have portals? How do you get them?
So what we do presently is that we've looked at the age range of these people, and then we target programs at that age range. And then because universities are federal entities, we do not have enough, we do not have that bandwidth to go in there and then do as much as we want. But the Lagos State government has a tech ecosystem incubation center in Unilag, where people who want to start their tech companies can start from there. They pitch it to that center, and if it's something that we see that is scalable, then we create an incubation system for them, where they go in there and that they would have refined that idea into into a business enterprise. Aside that, they also have access to mentorship, because we know that someone to hold your hand, someone to tell you that you don't make this mistake at this point. This is how you build your business plan. This is how you talk to investors. We also have that mentorship platform available for young people who want to go into the tech space. And aside that is also what we do in terms of, for people who are not going into who want to do non-tech businesses, is what we call entrepreneurial hubs. For example, we know what it takes for someone to start a laundry business. You definitely need the washing machine. And now, if you want, and for a young person, you definitely cannot use a washing machine that was built 20 years ago. You want something that is quite modern, that can make it work faster. That's expensive. So we are going to what we call hubs. For example, a laundry hub where we have tens of washing machines.
But that's not available yet, your hubs.
Yes, it's not available yet now. The laundry hub is not available now, but it's in the pipeline. And like,
How soon?
How soon?
Well, we have a lot of things in the pipeline in Nigeria.
A lot.
That's why people blow up the pipelines and still don't see anything.
And that is because we understand the enormity of the problems. I feel that we cannot wait. I'm sure before the end of the year, we'll have those hubs in certain communities where those where those occupations are a majority. So you can use a laundry hub, go in there, get clothes from your customers, go into the hub, pay to use the hub, dry clean your clothes, iron them, and deliver to your clients. You don't have to have a washing machine to do all of that, because if that's being done, we're going to reduce the barrier to entry for young people into entrepreneurship. And also what we're also trying to do is to remove the cultural barriers to entrepreneurship. People will still tell young people that even if you're doing business, just do it for some time. You still got to look for a job. Don't worry, because we still look for security. So we need to. So we're also talking to CEOs of organizations who are young people to come out there and use them as role models, so people can see that I don't have to have a 9 to 5 to be targeted as a responsible person in Nigeria. It's also happened to football. Before then, parents would beat their children for playing football. Now they even put them in academies as early as possible.
Football and music.
Football and music, because now it's now acceptable, which we're also trying to do to entrepreneurs, so that we can have more people. And like you said, if you have more young people get into the entrepreneurship and do it right, we will mop up youth unemployment, which is at 42.5% presently.
And then leaving the youths, here in Lagos, if you go to the market, I think you deal a whole lot with market women.
Yeah.
But they have the challenge of everybody's coming for taxes. You have the boys from the local government, you have the ones from the state government, and it just looks like anybody who has the idea and the guts can actually go and harass them. So how do you protect people like that? So
what we do is, one, to let them have enough information of who they're supposed to pay to in the first place. Sometimes sometimes the business people are ignorant, and so anybody they see, they give. So we are educating them. We have what we call master classes, where we bring them together and say, these are the levies you're supposed to pay, ideally according to the law. And also at the other end of the government is trying to harmonize all of these payments into one, so that it's just one person that goes to them. So when they know that when they've paid it to that person, they've paid 500 people, we can go back and share it across the different agencies. So from the supply side, on top of the business owners, educating them on what they need to pay for and why they are paying for it. Because we need to have a sustainable flow of income into the government via these levies and taxes, so we can keep producing public goods for them to use. But apart from the government, we're also trying to harmonize these agencies and this capital together, so that they have just one face with the business owner.
Yeah, well, that provision of public goods, I could take you on that, but I know that's not your territory. Because the reason why a lot of people are reluctant about paying taxes is because, well, what are they using it for? I mean, I'm sure you listened to the conversation we had with the breadman, and he's talking about the wheat development levy, and they don't know what it's being used to do for since 2012. But anyways, that's a conversation for another day. Thank you so much, Akim Onosanya, a special advisor to the Chairman, Board of Trustees of Lagos State Employment Trust Fund. Thank you so much for your time, and we do wish you the best, because your working is our working for the nation.
Unemployment is everybody's business.
It is everybody's business, yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right, so from there, we'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll head to the markets. It's still Business Morning on Channels Television. Hey, welcome back. You're still watching Business Morning here on Channels Television. Let's head to the markets now, starting with equities. Well, sentiments have remained bearish now as losses in international breweries, which was almost more than 9%, and WAPCO cost a 0.1% decline in the benchmark. The Osho index closed at 52,000. We're getting really close to the edge of that 52,000. I do hope we don't lose it soon. And month-to-date and year-to-date returns moderated to plus 0.6% and plus 0.22% respectively. Total volume traded declined by 36.2% to 151.94 million units, valued at 2.16 billion naira, exchanged in about 3,400 deals. GTCO was the most traded stock by volume and value, and 707.71 million naira was lost there. Well, we have Falabi Benro now joining us to give us a bit of update and background to some of these figures that we see. Hi, good morning, Falabi.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Good to have you. So should we just relax and accept our fate that we are back in the bear zone?
Reluctantly, that's what we've been seeing so far in the market. Like you mentioned earlier, we've been seeing bearish sentiments, especially across the banking names, and to be fair, across some of the other sectors as well. In Nigerian breweries, in the likes of MTN as well, we saw bearish sentiments coming to the market yesterday. There are buyers, but the buyers are preferring to stay at the lower end of the market to basically bargain hunt and take advantage of the lower prices. In GTCO yesterday, like you mentioned, we topped the volume and the value chart. This is on the back of a structured transaction of about 90 million shares at 20 naira 90 kobo. On the upside, we saw Airtel trade as high as 2,095.90. But unfortunately, it didn't change the final print of the day. In MTN, like I mentioned, we saw bearish sentiment. It traded as low as 212 naira. Bargain hunters on the buyer's side, trying to take advantage of opportunities there.
So talk to us a little bit more about this restructured transaction on GTCO. Why was that necessary, and what else can we expect to be an outcome of that?
Okay, it's something that we see happen pretty much every day on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. If you want to do a large volume of transaction and you don't want to necessarily impact the markets in a negative way, and sometimes you can decide to arrange for the transaction to be done, and then you then go to the floor of the exchange to execute. So it's like a normal trade that goes through, but because of the large volume, you wouldn't want to put it out there. You just want to structure it and then come to the floor of the exchange to execute. So, and like I mentioned, it's something that we see almost every day on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange.
Yeah, but I mean, any which way, it seems the banking counter always gets attention, be it for bargain hunting, profit taking. They're just top there. I think when you're at the top, you get all the hits, the good and the bad.
Yes, exactly. The banking sector is, and I guess also you can accredit that to the liquidity that you find in the banking names. These are the names that are sort of like the easiest to trade. The shares are readily available for most investors. So that's why we see a lot of attention and a lot of activity, mostly in the banking names, like you have mentioned.
And then international breweries took the place of Nigerian breweries. The previous day, it was Nigerian breweries that led the consumer counter, or at least drove majorly. And then now we see the international breweries yesterday. What is it about this? This is also an easily accessible area, I guess.
Yeah, so in line with the bearish sentiments we've been seeing in the market, the consumer sector hasn't been spared, same as the banking sector. So like you mentioned, Nigerian breweries was a couple of days ago, it dropped to about 49 naira, 75 kobo. And if you check the volume on that day, it was quite a significant volume that went through, which shows that it was basically the buyer that was driving the transactions there. International breweries were seeing not so much in the same level of volumes, but in terms of the bearish sentiment in line with the rest of the markets, that's exactly what we're seeing there.
Does any of this have anything to do with the hike in MPR by the MPC at the last meeting?
Definitely, and I think we can also attribute it to the way, one of the reasons why the market has still remained quiet, because for the market to be active, you need a catalyst to drive activities. And since this is the second rate hike that we're seeing, from the first one, we had expected to see a flight from equities towards more of fixed income products. So this second hike is not going to help things at all, and it's pretty much what we've expected after that announcement was made.
Okay, so we do expect this to continue, right? At least for now, the bearish sentiment.
Yes, in the short term, that's what we're seeing, unless something happens to change sentiments towards the positive region. But based on what's on ground now, we still expect to see bearish sentiments continue in the near term.
All right, thank you so much, Afolabi Gbenro, trader with Stanbic IBTC Stockbrokers. Do enjoy your weekend.
Thank you.
Let's move to another market now, the crypto market, and see if it's doing any better than the equities.
It is doing better. Talking about bearish sentiment, we're seeing the bulls, having a little bit of fun in this market at this point. It's all green,
There's a bull dance.
at this point. Yeah, the bulls are dancing, at this point. We see the fear greed index now extreme fear, 33 points, still an improvement for what we had a few months ago. I'm talking about between 10 to 11 points, but now we're at 33 points, creeping slowly, into that greed zone. All eyes, watching out for that greed zone. And we see the market cap still above 1 trillion there. It's up 3.33%. Volume traded $73.20 billion. And we see Bitcoin dominance sitting at 41.68% this morning. I see price of Bitcoin, $23,155. It's down gradually 0.10%. Volume traded $32.35 billion. And we see price of Ethereum, $1,594. That's up 0.12%. Volume traded $18.61 billion. Then we have Michael Naji right now. Hello, Michael.
Hello, Letty. Good morning. Hi,
I'm good. Thank God it's Friday, and thank God it's green. Even though I know you are quite bearish, on this market short term. But we saw Elon and Tesla, selling, a huge chunk of Bitcoin on their balance sheet. How's this going to impact other companies that have Bitcoin on their balance sheet at this point?
Yeah, so the move puts a little doubt in question for a lot of people, a lot of corporates who said that they were going to own Bitcoin. The move is mostly because Elon wanted to declare free cash flow. We've seen twice in the last year where Elon sold Bitcoin to improve the appearance of his cash flow on his balance sheet on his income statement. So basically, like at the end of the day, Tesla selling their Bitcoin doesn't go with their thesis that they see it as a store of value in terms of a hedge against inflation. And so right now, you're probably seeing other corporates who probably had plans to buy Bitcoin, probably holding that back. Ultimately, it's not a good look when the richest man in the world and his his very future-oriented company decides to sell Bitcoin. By the end of the day, Elon did make some disclosures that he wasn't giving up on Bitcoin. He will be interested in buying Bitcoin. He was mostly selling Bitcoin to increase their cash position due to the uncertainty with China. However, it is good that we're seeing Elon divest from Bitcoin. But however, though, that does put into question the whole store value narrative because people were really looking to Bitcoin as the leading shining example. Because when people ask who else bought Bitcoin, you could point to Elon Musk and Tesla. But now that no longer exists. So now we have to find a new poster boy for us in the corporate world.
Michael Saylor,
unfortunately, Michael Saylor's unfortunately levered up to everything he owns. So, he's not the best example of diligence in terms of, being prudent in terms of investing in Bitcoin. A lot of people will not follow Michael Saylor's strategy because of just, how much risk is involved in terms of the debts that's used to buy the Bitcoin. However, how Tesla did it was, completely sane. They put only, I believe, 10 to 20% of their balance sheet in Bitcoin. So a lot of people are going to be questioning that move now. That won't seem like the smartest thing to do anymore. And there will be some career risk because Elon clearly has tried to de-risk himself from it.
Right, but he's still holding Dogecoin, right?
Yeah, which I think is ultimately a funny joke because Dogecoin is a meme coin. So for him to say, oh, we sold 75% of our Bitcoin, but we didn't sell any of our meme coin, it makes me almost second guess Elon in terms of his ability to quantify risk. Because the first thing to sell is the Dogecoin.
Exactly. I don't know what Elon is doing at this point, but it's quite interesting. It would keep Dogecoin and sell Bitcoin at this time. But we're seeing the SEC is talking about listing about 9 tokens as securities. How do you think this is going to impact, the market overall?
Yeah, here's the SEC again coming in with some behind-the-back regulation. They're trying to. So there was insider trading done by a product manager on Coinbase. Basically, he tipped his family members anytime a new listing came on Coinbase, and whenever there's a new listing, usually it pumps. And so by knowing when these new listings came on, this manager would basically profit from it. However, the SEC is trying to come in and say that they were insider trading. The DOJ clearly has stated they just committed wire fraud. They're not charging them on securities law. Basically, this is the SEC trying to come in with some backhand regulation and basically use this as a way to say, hey, they were trading securities. And not only were they trading securities, they were doing it illegally. So it's a very backhand way of doing things. Even the DOJ in the indictment they didn't even charge them with insider trading. It was just wire fraud. And so at the end of the day, this is clearly the SEC overstepping, trying to get powers wherever they can. And at the end of the day, ultimately, they will lose this case. Coinbase has come out and said plainly that we don't sell securities. Because if they agree with the lawsuit, basically what they're saying is they sell unregistered securities. So at the end of the day, the SEC is coming in trying to be the big man on the block, but at the end of the day, they're overstepping. And eventually, if this gets taken to court, they will lose.
All right.
And
Well,
ultimately,
we'll
the wire
tracking.
fraud charges will stand.
Yeah, we'll keep tracking, see how that story ends. But very quickly now, what are you seeing next week for Bitcoin? Very quickly.
This, like I said, this is like that fake rally we had from 29 all the way up to 48,000.
Okay.
Maybe the move ends at 25 or 28, but Laddie, we're going to 15 or 10.
All right. All right, Michael.
We're going to 10 or 15.
All right, Michael. Thank you so much. Enjoy the weekend.
You too, Laddie.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, you heard it there. Market's not looking too bad right now, but
and Michael doesn't help it.
Michael isn't convinced.
It just gives it to you straight.
Yeah, he's not convinced. This is the bull run.
It is a fake
we're
rally.
all looking for.
It's a fake rally. All right, Laddie, thank you so much for the updates from the crypto space, and that's where we draw the curtains on the program today. Thank you so much for being a part of this 5-day business journey. It's been interesting, sometimes not so good with the figures that we have, macroeconomy at this time, but it's our reality and it's our job here on Channels Television to bring the reality to you and help you understand. So 1:30, Laddie will be here for Business Incorporated. Tomorrow, 7 p.m., I'll be here for Capital Market. You want to know what you missed when it comes to the market all through the week? Well, catch up with me 7 p.m. on Capital Market tomorrow. Until then, goodbye. I'm Ini John Mekwa.